When you start a presentation, you know that you have a small window of attention span from your audience. You don't want to front-load with boring details. You want to stand out and establish the relevance of your work. Once your audience wants to know more, you can go ahead with the details. That's why the following structure, suggested by Jean-Luc Dumont, is so effective. We start with the attention getter, which is an elegant way to start from the audience and lead them to the need. The need is the problem statement, or the difference between a situation and a goal we want to achieve. Then comes the task, what you did to address the need or to solve the problem. And finally, we end the introduction with the main message, the key point you want your audience to remember. We've asked Professor Julien Blondeau to illustrate this effective structure with an example from his own research.
During startup, gas-fired power plants produce peaks of pollutant emissions, like for NOx, for instance. These peaks can be 3 times higher than during normal operation. The good news is that in the past we didn't care about those peaks because they were not so important in the overall pollutant emission of the power plants, because those power plants were not started that often. Nowadays, with the deployment of renewable energy production, those power plants are sometimes used as backup for renewables, which means that the number of startup, shutdowns or fast transient operation is increasing. What we don't know at this moment is how much that increase of fast transient operation has an impact on the overall NOx emission of such a power plant. In order to answer that question, we decided to go on field and look for relevant industrial data from a relevant power plant, and we analyzed 10 years of industrial data from that power plant to check what was the exact increase of pollutant emission due to the increase of those transient phases. What we found is that the increase of transient phases has a very strong impact on the overall NOx emissions from a gas-fired power plant, and it can go from plus 30 to plus 80% for the specific emission of the plant, which means the NOx emissions per unit of electricity that is produced from the power plant. The very bad news is that when you increase the amount of renewables on the network and you want to back up that renewable production by gas-fired power plants, in the end, you do not decrease the NOx emissions until you reach more than 30% of renewable energy at the best. And this is what I'm going to show you during my presentation.